It is so hilariously funny sometimes. I'm feeling like what we say in Germany, a sip of water in a curve. And what I mean by that is that I'm currently suffering from something of a bizarre bug. I can't really explain what it is. It's a bit like a cold, but it's not like the flu type thing, You can hear it in my voice. I've got the I've got congested nasal passages and all that. But other than that, I feel relatively fine. But you know what it's like. You get this congested nasal thing going, and then the headaches start, and then you have a totally leaky nose 24/7. That's all one of those things. As our doctor once said when we first met him, Dr. De Leon from the Miami Beach medical practice, he said, well, in Miami you get other things. And I think I have one of those other things. You'd think perhaps the Keytruda infusions would keep my immune system in check so much that it would not, allow such things to come out anymore, but I guess maybe that's not the case. One of those things. So in preparation for my very heavy work week, can you imagine? I'm working over 30 hours this week. I'm supposed to only work about 29 max, and I try to keep well under that because I've got other ventures going, and must make people happy and all that, and I've got other interests than just shopping for people. As there's this work-life creativity balance again. So I just discovered that we've got this thing here in America that's called Theraflu. And that is very much like Beecham's or this other equivalent. What was that called again? It was called, I can't remember. Like the other thing that's not Beecham's, the other one. And powder, mix it into hot water, you drink it. Nice drink. So it's basically a ground up paracetamol, which isn't called paracetamol here in the US, by the way. It's called acetaminophen, even though it is the same substance. I don't know why, but in Europe they settled on the name paracetamol, whereas in the US for the same medication they settled for the name acetaminophen. So it's the same thing, paracetamol and acetaminophen. And because we're a brand heavy country, most people don't actually know it as acetaminophen, they know it as Tylenol, which is one of the brands that sell it, for a heavy markup with a funky logo and all that. So I just went down to CVS/pharmacy. It's one of our major drugstore chains that we have here. And they're usually very friendly, and they have anything from bread, beer, butter, snacks, and they have a pharmacy as well. For some reason they're called CVS Pharmacy, as if that's their main business. So I said, hey, I'm looking for something like a nasal decongestion thing, because I have plenty of acetaminophen / paracetamol left from my last exploit, where I believe the 1,000 pack was on offer for $5, and we got it as buy one get one free. So I guess it kind of puts it into perspective. The 12 pack you get at Sainsbury's, and you must only buy 3 maximum, otherwise you get sent to the door. And no, we can't sell you more than 36 maximum of those, because it's very dangerous medication. Here in the US they say, who cares really, just buy 2,000 for $5. It's cool, because if you do want to kill yourself, you don't do it with those pills. You just go into your nearest handgun shop and blow your brains out in the same day. Actually, there is a waiting period on handguns, so it's a little bit weird, but not the point of my story, of course. So I go into CVS together with Julia, and I say, hey, I'm looking for a nasal decongestion. Luck will have it that the infamous Sudafed tablets are available on both sides of the Atlantic, so I thought maybe I'll pop a few of those, because in my latest mixture, the tincture that we call Theraflu here, with Vicks and Lipton flavor, mind you, we are a brand heavy country, it said, it's the same ingredient, so can I have a pack? Oh, she says, the thing is, we can only give you this if you have an ID. As luck would have it, I always have my ID with me. Oh yeah, but is it an ID from this country? She says, yep, it's an ID from this country. Which country is that? I said, the United States of America. Is that where we are right now? I just want to double check, right? I mean, I'm doing so much traveling in recent years, I may have forgotten which country I'm in. So yes, no, US ID, yes, I've got a US ID, which is my infamous green card, of course, that we won in 2011. Now that I say it, like I won my green card in a lottery, it's kind of, it is weird, if you explain that to people. So I chose not to disclose that little speck of information. I thought, keep that to myself. Just mentioning I have an ID, and yes, it is American. So I guess it's all what we need to conclude the transaction. Well, she says, come over here. It's a behind the counter type thing in a little cage, because Sudafed mustn't live out in the wild. It's kind of dangerous medication, isn't it? Handguns, on the other hand, you have to buy one get one free. You've got an AK-47 here. Sure thing. Don't really understand that, but not the point of the story, of course, not the point. So I said, well, why are there 55 Sudafed flavors in all funky different packets? What's the difference? Well, this one's good for 24 hours, this one's good for 12 hours, this one's good for 4 to 6 hours, and this one has lemon flavor, and this one's got grape flavor, and this one's got cherry flavor. And I thought, tough one. So I guess perhaps I'll start at the 12-hour version and make my way up. Oh yeah, sure. Let's have that. That's $33, sir. I thought that's a little heavy. I mean, that's what a dose of Synthroid costs me a month. But I thought that's okay if it gets me through the day, through my 6 working days in this week. I thought, on top of my acetaminophen, ample supply of acetaminophen, I'll be sorted. So she goes, great. Can I see your ID? Leisurely, I whip out my US green card, valid until about 2020, at which point I really have to do something about it. And she goes, that's not an ID. And I said, I can assure you, it says United States of America on the top. It's got the super flashy 3D holographic whatever logo in there. I assure you it is an ID made by this country. And that leads us to a very, very interesting point. And I've got that reaction to the green card several times. Americans don't actually know what it looks like. They have no idea that even exists. They don't know it's necessary, as having to live in this country as a resident alien, what people like me are called. And it is kind of a funny thing. They just look at this and assume instantly it's, I don't know, a book club membership card or something like, a relic from the 80s, when you had a Blockbuster membership card or something. They assume it's something like that, even though it has a photo on that and it has the name of their own country that they often forget what it is at the top. It's one of those things. Anyway, I thought it's funny because I said, well, it is a valid ID, and it is because of that ID that I can basically go on a plane. It is a valid ID. Oh no, it's not a valid state ID, but it is a valid federal ID, but it's not a state ID, and that's the problem. So that's the distinguishing factor between certain things. There's always the state thing, the kind of the state level, and there's the federal level, and that makes it all the more exciting because their system here is literally designed to scan either a driving license or an off-the-shelf Florida state ID, and I could apply for one, and it doesn't cost anything. It's kind of the equivalent to a driving license. And I guess, again, this makes me a bit of an oddball that I am. I don't have a driving license. I've never driven a car. I don't drive cars. I've got a bike, But then, how are you even on the freaking planet if you live in America and you don't have a driving license and you don't have a car? You really, really don't fit in now, do you? So this is a perfect example of what happens when you want to buy, I don't know, slightly stronger medication than cough drops at CVS/pharmacy, and you don't own a car. So owning a car basically makes me buy that medicine no problem. But not having a car and not having an associated driving license means I'm going to have to live with a congested nasal passage. Does that make sense? It doesn't really, does it? So, one of those things. Anyway, the good thing about America is, of course, that we have so much choice here. So all we did was walk up the road, literally half a mile, 3 blocks to the nearest Walgreens, who give you the same medication for the same price, actually for cheaper, much cheaper than CVS/pharmacy. And what they do is say, it's in aisle 13. Okay, do I need an ID for that? He goes, no, you don't need an ID for that. Besides, we know you, don't we? So hey, long story short, go to Walgreens, don't go to CVS/pharmacy.